Thank you everyone else who's just joining us. We're about to get started here. As soon as my washing machine is done rinsing my clothes, we'll get started. I'm just waiting for that machine to buzz at me. There it is. In case anyone was wondering, my laundry is done. Greetings, fellow makers. I'm Bill. Welcome down to the shop. We are live from the shop today, and I'm going to be working on my Mechanist costume just a little bit. My Mechanist costume has sustained a tiny bit of damage during Comic-Con, and I'm going to fix that up today. I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then we'll get to work. The helmet here is just fine. It did really, really well. There's a couple spots that the latex kind of peeled through there. I may touch that up a bit, but in general, it did really well. But the feet sustained a tiny bit of damage. This is where the shoe rubs against this is the boot cuff. And the latex here, I just didn't put enough on, and it wore through. So this white that's showing is the foam below. So what I'll do today is I'm gonna fix this up a little bit so that you don't see that white, and also to make it more durable for Dragon Con coming up next week. Also, what I have here, this is the Pipboy that I used, and I designed it to work with my phone, so it fits right in there with the old iPhone 5 here. But we had a very nice and generous Pop-Tart tell us that he had an extra iPhone 4S. His name is Alexander, and he's a wonderful human. So that guy fits right in there. He sent this to me. It's got a cracked screen, but that's cool because it looks super weathered and awesome. The only thing is that the cover here, this is magneted on, this cover isn't quite the right size because it's a slightly smaller phone. So I will rebuild this piece here to match that phone. So that's what we're working on today. I've got some vinyl cloth here, and this is really good to help support a lot of this stuff because it's durable, it's not going to fray, and it's cheap. So on the parts here, when I originally did these, let's see. When I originally did these, I overlapped some vinyl on the foam and on the rubber, but it frayed beyond that. So what I'm going to do after I glue all this down with a little bit of barge is I'm going to glue down a strip that overlaps everything. So the part where my boot runs against this will just run along this vinyl, and it won't cause the latex to peel. This is something I probably could have done in the first place, but I just didn't think to do it. So I'm going to cut out a couple of long strips of the vinyl here. I've got this wheelie cutter thing that's really awesome and super sharp, so be careful with it. And I just run it along my ruler. Just like so. And now I've got a nice thin strip. This will, once we've glued everything up, this can overlap everything like that. And it will hold it down in place and solve all of our problems. Just like so. So I'm going to cut out another one of these and then get to gluing. Now the part that peeled off, this vinyl was supposed to hold it down, and it did, except that it peeled off, the latex peeled beyond the vinyl. That's what we're going to repair. But there's also just like extra cruddy bits of latex in there that isn't doing us any good. So I can trim that away like that. And then this vinyl here can be glued down to the foam, just so this lays nice and flush. We'll cover it with the new vinyl, but for now, I'm going to take a little bit of barge, like so. This is barge contact cement, and I'm just going to lay it in there so that I can tack this all together so it lays nice and flat and it'll look nice and clean. So I just lay that down in there, and then I'll let that dry for a good 5 minutes, and then I'll tack it down. And while that's going on, I'll cut my vinyl straps here to length. So I've got this one I did earlier. I'll cut these a little bit long. I can trim them after the fact, but they're going to go around like so to right about there. Like that. And that gives me a pair of those to use on both of these guys, and yeah, so there we go. Once this dries, we'll tack it down, and then we'll cover the whole thing in barge, and then we'll lay down our strips. So the barge that I laid down in here is no longer tacky, and I can lay this down against the foam, and it just makes this area here nice and flush, like so. So now we've sort of cleaned that area up, and then we'll cover it with this strip of vinyl here. And we can start by going over the area on the boot with some of this barge cement. I'm just trying to cover everything the best I can with a good layer of barge, including overlapping the area that we just fixed. So overlapping the old vinyl and the foam, because the new vinyl is going to want to stick to both of those to keep it from peeling back. All the way down, and like I said, I'm overlapping more than I think I need, just to make sure that everything gets nice and locked down. There we go. So going around the outer edge now, and the lip sort of on this cuff thing, just to make sure that everything gets covered, because the vinyl is going to wrap around on both sides. And especially this part here where it's super banged up, we want to make sure it gets nice and overlapped. And something else to think about too is that even if this repair ends up being a little sloppy, this is at the bottom of my foot. Not a lot of people are going to see this. Mostly this repair is so that this vinyl doesn't, or this latex doesn't continue to peel up the boot, because that people would notice. So this is more of a preventative thing. A vinyl here needs to have some barge on it so that we can connect the two. So I'm just going to lay down a good layer of barge on here. And again, any contact cement you have will work. Barge is the one I happen to have. DAP weldwood will work. In the UK, Alpha Thixafix is a good substitute. So it's another contact adhesive. So whatever you've got around will work. The barge works especially well on the latex though. Finish brushing this on, and then let it dry, and then we'll tack this whole thing together. So I've got a layer of barge on here that's drying. I added some to the vinyl, but it really soaked it up. I want this to be durable, so I'm going to go in and just add a second layer of barge to this. I really want to make double sure that this thing is really durable, because it's already proven that it'll fail. So just one more good quick layer of vinyl on here, or barge on the vinyl, and then we will let it dry, and then we will attach it. So we've added our 2 layers of barge on our vinyl. We've got barge on there. It's had a good 5 minutes to rest, and now I'm going to lay this down, overlapping everything, so that hopefully it keeps everything nice and durable. So I'm just laying it down on the outside part first. This is the part that I want to look pretty. So, whoop, don't fold up on yourself. There we go. So I'm doing that part first, making sure I'm overlapping where it has peeled off. There we go. Cool. So far, so good. And then this can get bent in on itself, like so. There we go. All right, that looks quite nice. And I see, like, there's a spot right there. Like, I'll add more as I go here, as I find more gaps. But it wore off a little bit there too. But this part right here is looking pretty good. I'm going to trim this. It's a tiny bit longer than I need it. So I just trimmed off that little part there. And I can keep going all the way around. Yeah. Like that. Like so. Very cool. So now it's really dark. It's kind of hard to see, but oh, there we go. Now this vinyl runs along the inside. This is where my boot is going to be running against this, and instead of peeling away at the latex, it's just going to run right against this vinyl, and it'll be all good to go. This part right here is now a dark black. It looks fine, but I will paint that to look a little bit nicer. I'll do that in a bit. I'm going to go over and touch up some more of these spots where the vinyl or the latex wore through, and then we'll get to painting. All right. All of our repairs have been made. Now there are black strips of vinyl overlapping the rubber, covering my previous paint job. So now I want to touch this up with a little bit of paint so it doesn't look quite so obvious. Again, this is going to be at the bottom of my leg, so it's going to be a little bit obscured. You won't really, unless people are paying close attention, they're not going to see it. But I'll touch it up a little bit just to make it less obvious. And what I have here is just some silver acrylic paint and a really crummy brush, and I'm going to just dry brush. This is going to be subtle, and I'm going to layer, and I'm overlapping the part I just fixed with the parts that were already painted, just to make sure that they're blended together a little bit better. There's still obviously a thing there, but we're trying to just make it a little less obvious. So I'm going to do silver first, and then I'll do a couple of other colors later to blend that a little bit. This is all a brown right here. It's a little hard to see on this camera, but it's brown like a muddy color. And I'll probably finish with some of that to maybe make this look like it's all crusty and muddy. And again, just to make it a little less obvious that it's been repaired. So next, I've got some burnt sienna here. Again, the same crappy brush. And I'm going to go over those same spots to add just a little bit of rust. And again, kind of overlapping what I did before. I'll put nicer photos up of this once we're done. I am well aware that this camera is not very good at showing color, so I will do that in the final video. But this is kind of dry brushy, kind of just adding a little bit of color and texture to distract you from the repair that we made. The final step on these guys will be to add a little bit of mud. And I've just got some burnt umber here, some dark brown, and a stencil brush, and I'm just stippling on some mud. I had done this with the initial paint job, so this is kind of just to mask the seam where I did that repair right there, just by overlapping everything like it got splattered with mud. Not a lot of thought into this, just sort of overlapping everything and splattering it like in a haphazard manner, just like that. A little bit of mud there, and a little bit on the front, and then I'm calling it good. I'm not going to spend all day on this repair because this is a part that no one is really going to notice on the costume unless you're at Dragon Con and you know that I did this, and then you call me out on it. And now that I've said that, someone will actually do it at Dragon Con. They're going to be like, "Oh, Bill, it looks like you screwed up part of your boot." And I'll be like, "No, I fixed it, man." And they'll be like, "Ha, got you." No, you guys are awesome. You're super nice. I know you won't do that. And the funny thing, too, with feet, I've noticed, is that you put lots of effort into a foot part, and that's the part no one notices. So that is the life. That's what it is to be a cosplayer. You put the most work into one part, and no one comments on it. There we go. That is the repair, and that took me, I don't know, about an hour to fix up, and that should be much more durable and looks pretty good for Dragon Con. So that's good to go. Let that dry, and then now I'm going to update this for a different size iPhone. This is the old faceplate that I had to cover my old phone, and the outside of this is fine. We want to copy that, but the inside is a little bit too big for this phone face, so I need it to move in a little bit. I could just like cover a strip right here, but I want to put a little more effort into it. So I'm going to cut out a new one of these out of the same material. This is Sintra, and the new one I will just make the inner dimension a little bit smaller. So I'm going to start by tracing the outside, and I'm going to measure it compared to the old one, which is 3.5 inches wide, and the new one needs to be 3 inches wide, so I can lose 1/4 inch on either side. Yeah, art degree. Now this stuff, this is a PVC foam, this Sintra, and it's fairly easy to cut just with a nice sharp knife. So that's what I got here. I'm just cutting it out. There we go. Gonna round the corners a touch and make sure it fits into my arm piece. Does. Nice and snug. And now I'll cut out the inside. And again, this is the part that matters. These are the new dimensions. So I'm just gonna check and double check my work before I commit to cutting. Boop. Pops right out, and that fits nicely over the screen in there. So there goes that. So now you can see the overlap where it used to be. There's just a little bit of a line right there. So all I have to do now is install the magnets on here and then paint this, call it good. Here's the new one, the new faceplate. Here's the old one, and it's held in to the foam with magnets. There's actually magnets embedded in the foam there. I need magnets on the new guy. I tried to transfer one and it didn't work, so I just put a new magnet in here, and I'll do the same thing on this guy. I'll just carve out a little corner with an X-Acto as a place to rest that magnet. I got a little X-Acto chisel here too to sort of remove a thin layer. Boop. Just like that. Carefully. Like that, and that's where the magnet will go. I'm going to get a new magnet. These are just tiny little neodymium buddies. It'll go in like that. I'm just checking the polarity on it there. I'm going to sand that side a touch. Put a little bit of super glue in there. Like so. I'm going to spray that with a tiny bit of accelerant and then drop it in place. Just like so. And then we let that dry. And there's our magnet. I'll just do that on the other side, and this whole thing will snap into place, and we can paint it. Here's what we've got now, finally. Here's the old one here, and there's not a lot of paint on there, just a little bit to sort of match what's going on. Here's the new one, so we're going to replicate the paint we did on that. It looks very similar. Again, we'll have nicer photos of this at the end of this video. But basically, this guy fits in there. And there's a little bit of a gap on either side because it is slightly smaller by about 1/4 inch on either side. We put our magnets on there and that snaps down in place. Very good. That's all set. And all I have to do is put a little bit of paint on here. So similar to how I painted everything else, I've just got some acrylic paints. And I'm not going to cover this like crazy. I'm just going to kind of rough it with this crappy brush with a couple of quick passes of just some silver and some burnt sienna, and call it good. There we go. A little bit of color in there, like so. And actually leaving a lot of the black showing through as well. There we go. And that fits snugly in there. I can already tell there's a little bit of a discrepancy in the color between the two, so I may go in again. But that's enough for now. And I'll be happy with that for Dragon Con. So there you go. There is the upgraded, the old plate. There's the new one. I'll get this thing charged up and load up the screen on there, and it'll even look all weathered because the screen is pre-cracked. That's nice. Snaps in place like that, and goes in like that. Bloop, 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 bloop. Burp. Always take way more footage than you think you need. Well, there you go, guys. There is our little bit of an update for the new phone that's going in there and the new faceplate. Very quick. That only took about 20 minutes to fix up there. I may go over a little bit more of this to touch up the paint just a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with that for now. And then, of course, the durability on our boots is all touched up here. It's going to be fine. This will survive Dragon Con, and it looks really great. It looks fine. So, yeah, there's that. Thank you guys so much for hanging with me today on the live stream. Again, if you haven't checked it out, twitch.tv/punishedprops. Give us a follow over there. You can catch these things live. For example, today the stream was about 2 hours long, and I've, of course, edited it down to much shorter for YouTube. But if you want to catch it live and chat with us while we work, then head on over there and give us a follow. We usually stream Tuesdays at noon Pacific, and it's always a good time hanging out with the Prop Tarts. Like those guys. You guys are awesome. Alright, well that's about it for today. I got a little bit more work to get done for Dragon Con, so I better hop to it. We'll see you guys all next week on the old live stream. Get to crafting. And I'll see you all at Dragon Con.